This is the Twilight theory from Alex Bale. Hit that like, hit that sub, hit that hype button, baby. Let's get into it.
So, dream theories are dumb. Let's just get that out of the way.
They
Any
are?
theory where everything happening in the story is all just a dream or a hallucination or they're in a coma or purgatory or whatever, we can all agree that these theories tend to be very lazy and overdone and usually don't have any evidence besides, whoa, this fictional thing is so crazy and unreal.
All right, I got you there, but when we talk about dream theories or just dreams in general, a lot of people don't think that dreams be real, but they do, bruh. I can tell you, I done had dreams where things came true.
That must mean it's a dream. And I try to avoid these theories as much as possible. But on the very rare occasion where there actually is an overwhelming amount of evidence to support them, then I think dream theories can be really fun. And believe it or not, but I think that I may have found a piece of media with one of the most compelling undiscovered dream theories of all time. I am of course referring to the iconic 2000s vampire teen romance, Twilight.
Now, that's why I got my red
shirt.
shirt.
That I like Twilight. I think these movies are really dumb and funny and iconic, and I just have this nostalgic sweet spot for them. If you were too cool to watch Twilight, it's basically about an awkward new girl at school who meets a mysterious, dreamy guy who keeps staring at her for some reason. But it turns out he's actually a vampire who's in love with her.
Like my own.
Y'all let me know, man. Do vampires exist? This is kind of crazy, though. Maybe he bitten her and, you know, got her to... Or she's a vampire herself. Is she a vampire herself? Because why is she attracted to someone that's not human? I'm not getting that.
Personal brand of heroin.
But oh no, there's also a werewolf.
Hold on, did he say a personal brand of heroin?
I crashed out. I did.
At her for some reason.
What?
But it turns out he's actually a vampire who's in love with her.
Like my own personal brand of heroin.
Oh,
But
nah,
oh no,
that's
there's
crazy.
also a werewolf who's also in love with her, and they fight because Bella is just so special and important, and literal wars are fought over her. Don't these movies kind of feel like a fan fiction Bella's writing about herself? So yes, I like Twilight. I rewatch these movies every couple of years, but on
I
my
might
most
gotta watch
recent
it.
rewatch, I noticed something really strange. Something that made me question everything about these movies.
Okay.
In the first Twilight, after Bella discovers the truth about vampires and starts her forbidden love affair with Edward, there's this evil vampire guy that shows up and decides that he wants to kill Bella.
You brought a snack.
He said you brought a
The
snack.
climax of the movie is a final fight scene in an old ballet studio where the good vampires eventually defeat the evil vampire and burn his body in a big fire.
Okay.
But not before Bella gets injured and is hospitalized.
Bruh, this like Blade, the white version, bruh. This ain't the black version of Blade.
Bella then wakes up in a hospital room with her mom, who thinks that she just fell down some stairs.
What happened? Well, when you fell, you broke your leg. You tripped. And you fell down 2 flights of stairs.
Now, obviously, this is a lie that they told Bella's mom. These movies are full of lies like this to
they
keep the
capping
vampire's
that hard.
existence a secret.
Whenever the weather's nice, the Collins just appear. Dr. and Mrs. Collin yank them out for like hiking and camping and stuff.
And Bella is ultimately fine in the end, and they have a beautiful, happy ending where love wins. Except, there's something in Bella's hospital room that doesn't quite make sense. Something that should be completely impossible. In the background of the room is an out-of-focus TV that seems to be playing footage of some kind of fire. But if you look really closely, you'll realize that this is actually footage from the previous scene.
The previous scene? You talking about the fight?
Like, it is undeniably the fire from the vampire fight that just happened. There is no logical reason why this TV would be playing this. I mean, is this supposed to be like an Easter egg? Or were they just so lazy about what to put on the TV that they, I don't know, reused footage? I mean, that's what I initially thought, but then I noticed there's something else in this hospital room.
What's in there?
On the far wall, there is a painting of what looks like a ballet studio, which is also exactly where the previous scene took place. I mean, this was clearly intentional. This was not a mistake or laziness. This took effort from the filmmakers to include. But why? What are they trying to tell us by including all of these very specific, intentional references to the previous scene? Well, here's my theory.
He tripped, and he fell down 2 flights of stairs.
I think that the lie about Bella falling down the stairs is the real reason why she's in the hospital, and the fiery vampire fight scene in a ballet studio.
Okay, so now we get into the dream theory. Okay, this is just all a dream. Okay, is Edward just all a dream? Crazy though.
Didn't actually happen. Let me explain. When Bella first woke up, she was very confused and disoriented from her injuries, and she clearly had no memory of what actually happened.
What happened? You don't remember any of this, do you?
So what if her mind invented a fantasy using the first thing she saw? A painting of a ballet studio, a TV playing some random footage of a fire, and she used these elements to convince herself that the real reason she's in the hospital is because she was attacked by an evil vampire in a ballet studio, when in reality, she actually did just trip and fall down the stairs like her mother said.
And he fell down 2 flights of stairs.
So yes, I am suggesting that the fight scene that we just saw
was just a dream.
Happen. It was all a fantasy created in Bella's head. I mean, this honestly makes more sense with how clumsy we know Bella is in these movies.
Bruh, I swear, I ain't gonna cap, bruh. I used to be just like Bella, man. Like, I would go across the street and it wouldn't happen on purpose, but my legs would just give out. Like, I was going to GameStop one time, man, just to get a game, and you know, I fell down and tripped in the middle of the road, and the car was coming, bro, on gang, on everything, bro. But you know, thankfully God blessed me and I was able to get up.
Can you at least watch where you walk?
Plus, it explains why no one ever questions the massive bite mark Bella has on her arm. And also, isn't it weird that they went out of their way to show us footage of Bella falling down the stairs?
Then he tripped, and he fell down 2 flights of stairs.
Like, if this was just supposed to be a made-up throwaway lie, then they didn't really need to show it to us, right? I mean, the filmmakers probably put a lot of time and effort into this pretty difficult-looking stunt that we ultimately don't need to see if it's just a lie.
Facts.
But showing it
And she
makes
twirling
a lot
down
more
that
sense
stairs,
if
them
Bella
stairs.
falling down the stairs is what actually
mean,
happened, and the fiery ballet vampire attack was just a fantasy. I feel like there's a very good chance that this is actually what the filmmakers were going for. There are a lot of very specific intentional clues here. And that is my Twilight dream theory. This one fight scene didn't actually happen. Bella was just confused after falling down some stairs. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. I will see
We
you
know that's
next time.
cap. This
Hang on a
35 minutes.
If the entire climax of the first Twilight movie wasn't real, then what else isn't real? Like, if they didn't fight in this ballet studio, then what happened to the evil vampire guy who wanted to kill Bella? Did they ever defeat him? Is he still out there? Was he ever real? And also, them killing this vampire in this ballet studio is like a very major plot point for the rest of the franchise. There are several future movies where the entire conflict hinges on this guy's girlfriend trying to take revenge because of what happened specifically in this ballet studio. But if that scene didn't really happen, then none of it could have happened. And suddenly, I am questioning everything about these movies. Are vampires even real? This scene tells us that Bella is an unreliable...
Y'all let me know, man. Just like I asked before, do you think vampires are real, man? A lot of people say, hey, you go on TikTok, man, a lot of things they say, bruh. They say vampires are actually real, man. Do you believe that, man? I think entities are real. You know, they got, you know, I even believe aliens are real, honestly, man. And And even in the Bible, it speaks of like certain type of entities and stuff. And then people said they didn't seen it. So y'all let me know in the comment section, man. Maybe I'm just talking, you know.
Narrator, and we can't trust anything that we see in these movies. And I believe that there is a very good chance that all of the vampires and werewolves and everything supernatural in the Twilight movies may in fact just be something that Bella is imagining. So
Whoa.
yes, we are doing a dumb Twilight hallucination
Hey, I like it, though.
theory, or whatever you want to call it. And look, it's okay if you don't fully believe me yet, because trust me, there is a lot more evidence in these movies. But before we get into the big stuff,
I don't
I
believe
want to
it
go
too
back
much.
and take a look at what the actual story of Twilight might look like if we assume nothing supernatural is real. And again,
Okay.
it's okay if you're not fully on board yet. We're just gonna look at how this interpretation might change things. Also, I'm only gonna be talking about the movies in this theory. I didn't read the books.
Okay.
Sorry. Oh yeah, sponsorship. So, in the first Twilight movie, Bella Swan is the new girl at Forks High School, and she's kind of awkward and doesn't quite fit in yet. But then she hears about this mysterious cool guy named Edward Cullen, and for some reason he keeps staring at her from a distance. And even stranger, he can't seem to stand being near her.
Today we're going to be observing.
Bruh, hey, he low-key a grade A stalker, man. Why is he even near her, bruh? Because most of the girls these days, this had to be older, man. Most of the girls these days, you would have got smacked by now, dog. For just staring like that, bruh. You a stalker. I'ma just be real. Edward is a stalker.
Maybe it's because Edward is actually a vampire who can't resist Bella because she's just so special.
He
Like my own personal
He wanna
brand
eat her.
of heroin.
Or maybe it's because
Yeah.
she was clearly awkwardly staring at him first, and also she just came from gym class, so I don't know, maybe she doesn't smell that great right now. So everything that
Yeah.
happens at the start of this movie can be pretty easily explained away. Bella doesn't actually witness anything undeniably supernatural until she almost gets hit by a car, but then Edward uses his vampire speed and strength to save her.
Okay. Ooh, that was coming for her. That was coming for her. Nice save,
But once
though.
again, just like with the ballet scene, Bella ends up in the hospital and she's given an alternate explanation for what happened.
How did you get over to me so fast?
I was standing right next to you, Bella.
No, you were next to your car, across the lot. You stopped the van. You pushed it away with your hand.
Bella, you hit your head. I think you're confused.
She's told that she's just confused and disoriented from hitting her head, and Edward was actually just standing right next to her. Nothing supernatural actually happened.
Bruh, you dented the
we're
whole
supposed to
van
assume
with
that
your
these are lies
hand.
to hide the fact that Edward is a vampire, but what if, just like with Bella falling down the stairs, Edward actually is telling the truth here, and Bella's memory of what happened is the lie?
You might experience some post-traumatic stress or disorientation.
I mean, isn't it
Using
strange
these
that
big
all of
words.
the unambiguous supernatural things that happen in these movies don't start happening until after Bella gets into an accident and possibly hits her head? It also feels like all of these supernatural things conveniently make Bella's life seem less awkward and embarrassing. Bella didn't clumsily fall down the stairs. She actually got attacked by a vampire in an exciting, epic fight scene. She didn't awkwardly embarrass herself in front of the guy she likes. He's actually a vampire who can't resist her, and he used his vampire powers to save her because he's in love with her. Don't these sound like excuses she's making up? Now look, I'm not trying to say that Bella is this sad, crazy person.
Okay, I'll say in a sense, maybe it sounds like excuses that she's making up, but hey, she doing all this stuff. She clumsy and everything. Maybe mentally it's something going on with her that need to be checked. I mean, she keep on going to the doctor and they keep on saying, hey, it's this wrong. It's that wrong with you. When are we going to take the doctors, what the doctor's saying as 100% logical for what's going on with Bella? Bella probably needed to get some help, or she could have went through something traumatic as a kid or something, Feel
or
me?
accept her mistakes or flaws. I think she's genuinely going through a tough time in her life, and this might just be a way for her to cope with things. Plus, she might have a head injury that's seriously affecting her perception of reality.
That's what I'm saying.
So I do feel a lot of sympathy for Bella in this interpretation of the movie. From this point on, Bella keeps witnessing more and more supernatural things. And I think these could all be fantasies that are fueled by the old local legends she hears about, and late-night internet research that just ends up confirming her biases.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, his hand was cold. That must mean he's a vampire. I mean, to be fair, I've done shit like this in these videos. I can't really criticize her. We even hear
For real,
directly
though.
from Bella
I know you
that during
did.
this time, she's been dreaming a lot about Edward.
He's not even there.
I dreamt of Edward Cullen.
And after Edward finally does reveal to her that he's a sparkly vampire and Bella accepts him for who he is, we literally immediately cut to Bella in her bed daydreaming. I mean, this transition really feels like that scene was all in her head. It's almost like
Yeah.
Bella never actually interacted
I mean, that's the
with
typical
real
type
Edward
dream,
Cullen
bruh.
after their first couple of awkward encounters.
I'm afraid you'll have to stay in biology.
Just have to endure it.
Bella then goes to Edward's house and meets all of his vampire family, and they spend a bunch of romantic time together.
You better hold on tight, spider monkey.
But then, right after this, we get a really weird scene with Bella at a diner with just her dad, where they talk about how Bella is always alone.
What about any of these other yahoos in town? Anybody interest you?
Dad, we can talk about boys?
Yeah, I guess not. I just, I feel like I leave you alone too much. You should be around people.
I don't really mind being alone.
Which is a weird thing.
I
for
mean,
her-
it's kind of weird for a dad to be saying that, though. You want her to be around boys or something like that? I don't want you to be alone. I mean, you heavily on duty as a cop. You want her to be at home, you know, with some boy being booed up. Like, yo, I'm going to need you to maybe pick less hours and be there for your daughter, okay? For real.
To say after she literally just spent a bunch of time with Edward and his family. And it's not like her relationship with Edward is this big secret, because right after this scene, she introduces him to Edward.
I want to formally introduce myself. I'm Edward Cullen.
Hi, Edward.
So why lie here? This conversation almost feels like a moment of truth is poking through, and Bella briefly admits to herself that she's not actually spending time with a bunch of vampires.
I don't really mind being alone.
And then we get the iconic vampire baseball scene that we all love.
Okay.
Okay, now I see why you need the thunder.
And
Oh,
if
yeah,
you're
she hit
wondering
that out
why
the
Bella would imagine a vampire baseball game of all things, well, the scene right before Bella leaves with Edward to play is Bella on the phone with her mom talking about baseball.
So, how's all the baseball stuff going?
Oh, Phil's working so hard. You know, spring training. We're looking for a house to rent in case things become more permanent.
Once again,
Okay,
I
is she
think
like a
Bella's
baseball
fantasies
manager?
are taking
What's going on?
inspiration from her real life. Her mom sounds pretty happy spending time with her new husband in his new baseball career, so
Okay.
maybe that's why Bella imagined her own version of that happiness.
Husband, a baseball
Phil's working
player?
so
Hey.
hard. You know, spring training.
Oh yeah, the mom want them. She want that money. That's why she left her father. You know, she went for a baseball player. You know, she want a Hall of Famer. I don't blame her, man. They're wrong.
Then, of course, the evil vampire guy shows up and wants to kill Bella, so she has to run far away to keep herself and her father safe. But in order to convince Charlie to let her leave, she says some pretty horrible stuff to him.
Look, Bella, I know I'm not that much fun to be around, but I can change that. We can do more stuff together.
Like what? Like watch baseball on the flat screen? Eat at the diner every night? Steak and cobbler? Dad, that's you. That's not me.
Bella, come on.
What you expect him to do? He a full-time
Yeah, you know,
police.
if I don't get out now, then I'm just gonna be stuck here like Mom.
Dang, you leaving him all alone?
Now,
That's
we're
your
supposed to
dad.
think that this is a lie she made up to protect him.
Okay.
But of course, we know that there is a very good chance everything about this evil vampire guy and Bella running away to have an epic fight in a ballet studio is the actual lie. So, in the moment, I do think Bella actually means what she says to Charlie here.
Yeah, and you know, if I don't get out now, then I'm just gonna be stuck here like Mom.
Now, of course, Bella feels bad about this later, which is probably another reason why she'd invent a fantasy about an evil vampire hunting her. I mean, it's not her fault she said those terrible things to her father. She's not a bad daughter. She was actually protecting him from the evil vampire. She doesn't need to feel guilty. Again, I'm not trying to say that Bella is this terrible, irredeemable
I can't
person.
say she
She's
is,
clearly
though.
going through a lot, and after falling down some stairs, she does come back and apologize to her dad. And that is the story of the first Twilight movie without the supernatural. And again, it's okay if you're not fully on board yet, because the next movie in the saga is where everything really starts to click together. So let's take a look at Twilight New Moon.
Yeah, it just maybe gives me, you know, the sense that she's just going through things because maybe she's dealing with something in her brain, you know. That's really what I'm thinking, you know, so far. I mean, so I'm kind of...
In New Moon, Edward leaves Bella because he believes she'd be safer if she wasn't around a bunch of vampires. And this movie is about Bella dealing with that breakup and eventually getting closer with her friend Jacob, who then suddenly turns into a sexy werewolf guy who also loves her.
What?
But in the end, Bella is reunited with Edward and they live happily ever after again. Now, New Moon is full of little things that line up really well with this theory. I'm just gonna quickly speed run through them. There's the way Edward suddenly disappears when Bella's dad comes in the room.
I'll never fail you again. Charlie's coming.
Hey.
Obviously, we're supposed to assume he used vampire speed, but it also kind of gives off a Bella was actually alone talking to herself vibe. There's also another transition from a crazy supernatural vampire scene to Bella in bed.
Oh, yeah. I could tell that's not real, bro.
Here's one I
That
really
is not
like.
real.
Jacob gives Bella a dream catcher and holds it right in front of Edward, almost like we're symbolically equating Edward to a dream.
Yeah, Jacob saying you a dream. You ain't the real dude. You know what I'm saying? That's just a dream. That's something fake right there. Jacob dangling it in his face, low key. You know, like, bruh, step away, man. Step away, Edward. You ain't nobody. For real.
Bad dreams.
There's also lots of lines after the breakup that really feel like they're directly telling us that the vampire boyfriend version of Edward and his family were never actually real.
It'll be like I never existed.
The pain is my only reminder that he was real. I don't see Edward anymore. Will it really feel like he never existed?
Bella also has this wolf painting in her room before she finds out Jacob is a werewolf, so maybe that's another real-life inspiration example. And also, once again, in this movie, Bella gets into another 2 accidents where she hits her head.
What is she doing on a motorcycle?
So if Bella didn't already have severe head trauma affecting her, then she definitely does now. But the most interesting thing in this movie is the way that Bella unambiguously hallucinates Edward after he leaves.
Keep walking. Stop.
You alright?
This is never explained as some kind of supernatural vampire thing. Bella is just straight up hallucinating,
I don't get
and
that
now
part.
it's being directly acknowledged by the narrative.
I thought that I saw something.
You're insane, actually.
I saw him. Maybe I'm crazy now. I guess that's okay.
I think that the true story of New Moon is really about Bella struggling to hold on to her fantasy and slowly coming to terms with her reality.
I don't see Edward anymore. Will it really feel like he never existed?
Maybe the real-life, non-vampire Edward and his family did actually move away from Forks, and now their absence at school is making it harder for Bella to keep her epic vampire romance fantasy going. And now, when imaginary Edward does rarely appear, it's much more obvious to her that he's not actually real. There's specifically a moment when Bella revisits the field that she used to spend time with Edward in that really gives this feeling like she's actually realizing it was all a lie.
I will find the place where I can see him again.
Oh, now that's crazy right there. I ain't gonna lie. She actually gonna go to try to find the actual place on the ground?
Bella then realizes that the only way to get Edward and her fantasies to come back is by getting into more life-threatening accidents, just like the ones that originally started these delusions.
Ain't no way.
Danger is what it takes to see him.
Oh yeah, she crazy. She crazy. Even if I was, anywhere dating her, I would cut things off. The fact that you would go put yourself in danger just to see somebody, yeah, this relationship would be done. I would have been packing my bags and leaving, just to do anything. But like I said, she needs to actually see a therapist or something. Ain't nobody, they saying, oh, you're going through crazy things because you're not really seeing that person. But who is saying that you need to speak with a therapist or somebody to help her with what's going on with the thoughts in her head? And dang, what made you want to, keep thinking about this Edward character that long? Like, what did he do to you? What did he do to you? Seriously.
Then that's what I'll find.
But it only works temporarily, and eventually there's a point in this movie where Bella starts spending a little more time with her real-life friend Jacob,
she gonna mess around and kill herself,
focusing on the vampire Edward fantasy.
I wish I could tell you about Jake. He makes me feel better. He makes me feel alive.
And it seems like she might actually start to accept her real life for what it is and finally be willing to let go of all of these supernatural fantasies.
The hole in my chest. Well, when I'm with Jake, it's like it's almost healed.
Okay.
But then something
like background narrating. I was like, is she talking to him as Jacob? Is crazy.
Get closer, it becomes clear that Jacob wants something more romantic from her. But Bella, understandably, isn't really interested in something like that right now, so she keeps turning him down.
Probably has that
Dang, bruh.
Going around.
What? I can't hold your hand?
Jake.
Dang, she friend zoned you, bro. That's tough. That's tough.
Please, don't do this.
Why?
Okay.
Because you're about to ruin everything. And I need you.
And then suddenly, Jacob decides to leave Bella and completely stop talking to her.
Jake, your dad says you have mono. He won't let me visit, but would you call me? Hey, it's me again. I'm sorry about what I said at the movie theater. I just wanted to hear your voice, so no pressure. Jacob, please, call me.
This is obviously very tough and confusing for Bella, and it's very similar to what she experienced with Edward at the start of the first movie. And I think this unfortunately leads to Bella backsliding into her fantasies again, because the very next time she sees Jacob, oh look, he suddenly looks completely different, and then oh, he's also a sexy werewolf now, and he was actually just avoiding Bella to protect her, just like Edward.
I promised I wouldn't hurt you, Bella, and this is me keeping that promise.
See, it wasn't her fault that he left. Everything's happy again. Yay!
This big werewolf
is pretty much exactly what happened in the first movie. Bella felt alone and embarrassed, and she got a head injury, and then suddenly a big supernatural fantasy took over her life. I even feel like it's the same situation where she never actually saw the real Jacob again, and everything after him shutting her out is a complete fantasy, just like Vampire Edward. But having a fantasy werewolf Jacob back in her life is not enough.
That's OD how big that werewolf is, bro. That's OD. I ain't gonna lie.
Head injury, and then suddenly a big supernatural fantasy took over her life.
That's OD, man. What would you do if you see a werewolf like that, bro? It's nothing you could do, bro. You're gonna try to run, but that werewolf gonna be way faster than you, bro. What would you do in this scenario, bro? Why would she even try to, pet the werewolf, bro? At this point, And you saying you're a werewolf? Yeah. Get out of my face with that. Just get out of my face.
I even
For
feel
real.
like it's the same situation where she never actually saw the real Jacob again, and everything after him shutting her out is a complete fantasy, just like Vampire Edward. But having a fantasy werewolf Jacob back in her life is not enough. A fantasy werewolf Jacob back in her life is not enough for Bella this time. She still wants Edward back too.
I'm alright.
She wants both?
Until I'm alone.
I mean, hell nah, you better pick a side, bitch. See, this why niggas do the craziest stuff, cause these bitch don't pick a side. You know what I'm saying? They using one nigga for the BBC, one for the money. Pick a side. You gonna mess up that man hard. Nah, hell nah. I would have just stepped out. I wouldn't have had nothing to do with you. I'm just being honest. Yo, I'm just being honest.
But I realize where I have to go. What I have to do.
What you gotta do?
So now she's convinced herself that the only way to do that is by taking some very drastic measures.
What is
and
that?
Bella decides to jump off of an extremely dangerous cliff.
Oh my God, you gonna jump off a cliff? Bitch, what is wrong with you? I mean, she showed up at the hospital. She should honestly get checked, man. Something's got to be logically wrong with her brain at this point. You doing this all for a nigga? Ain't no way.
To the ocean.
Don't do this. Please.
You won't stay with me any other way.
You gonna try to stop her? I said, nigga, you gonna try to stop her. She want him. She want another nigga. She choosing. And you gonna try to stop her. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's some of y'all niggas out there like that, bro. That if a girl want to go and do something dumb, you going to sit there and try to stop her. Nah, bitch, jump. At this point, jump. You doing it for another nigga anyway. Go ahead and jump. I'm not going to lose any sleep. You feel me? Because she honestly saying she want to do this. If she willing to jump for a nigga, bruh, she willing to risk it all, bruh. But nah, I ain't going to cap. Some of them booties be so fat, a nigga will low-key risk it all for that big booty. I ain't jumping off no cliff, though, my nigga. I ain't doing that. No cap. Oh, and she did it. She did it. Don't even think you could die, but you gonna jump off that cliff. Oh,
Bella
man.
accidentally hits her head and gets knocked unconscious, and it seems like she's about to actually...
That bitch hit her head. That's what you get. Dang, that's what you get.
drown. But then thankfully, Jacob is able to suddenly show up out of nowhere.
Okay, Jacob
and pull her
done
out at
saved
the
her.
last second, and she thankfully survives.
Okay.
Breathe.
CPR. Jacob.
And also, her plan seems to have worked because she's immediately given an opportunity to be fully reunited with the vampire Edward in another epic climax, this time set in Italy.
Hell nah, this is what I don't get. You was just on Jacob. You was just on Jacob tip. Now you jumping on this nigga Edward, bruh. What kind of name is Edward to begin with? You jumping on this nigga? Nah, ain't no way, bruh. But that's how these females be choosing, my nigga. One point they'll tell you, oh, I love you. Then they texting in the middle of the night. They texting some nigga in the middle of the night. That's how it go, man. You gotta watch these chicks, man. These hoes they be up to something, bruh. I ain't even gonna cap to you, dog. This is wrong, my nigga, on so many levels.
And once again, they live happily ever after, and that is the story of Twilight New Moon. Except, just like last time, there's another very strange hidden detail that heavily implies that the climax of this movie also wasn't real. It's something that, if you don't believe this theory yet, I guarantee will convince you that I'm onto something here. At the start of New Moon, Bella is learning about Romeo and Juliet in school, and she's specifically watching the scene where Romeo falsely believes Juliet is dead, so he takes his own life.
Oh, my love, my wife, death that hath sucked the honey of thy breath hath had no power yet upon thy beauty.
Nah,
And
nigga,
this is pretty
I never
much
understood
exactly
that
what
story.
happens later
That nigga
in
done
New
off
Moon's
this
climax. Edward falsely believes Bella drowned after jumping off the cliff, so he tries to expose his sparkly vampire skin in public, which would force the evil head vampire guys to kill him.
Oh,
Now,
hell nah.
This does work really well with my theory.
I was thinking this, bro. This is another theory too, bro. It might be crazy. But what if both of these worlds don't exist? The world that we think is real, that Bella lives in, that doesn't have any vampires or anything like that. What if she's, you know, put to a wire? What if she's hooked up to a wire? You know, kind of like Wolverine or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Where you hooked up to a wire and you really like a robot or something. What if Bella's a robot and none of these worlds even coexist? Wouldn't that be some shit right there, bro? That just came to head because I was playing the Wolverine game the other day. You know what I'm saying? The PlayStation 2 game. So, yeah.
You could definitely make the case that this inspired Bella's fantasy later on. But I'm also not gonna pretend like this is the most mind-blowing smoking gun ever. I mean, this is obviously just pretty basic foreshadowing. Lots of shows and movies have done this exact same thing. They do it in Breaking Bad, they do it every fucking 10 seconds in Stranger Things. It's not that big of a deal. But what makes this example different from any of your other standard run-of-the-mill foreshadowings is the Romeo and Juliet book that Bella was reading. A book that we only see for a few seconds at the very start of the movie.
Okay.
Because if you look really closely, not only can you see the exact same red cloaks that everyone is wearing in the climax, but also the same exact fucking building that the
She just got a big ass imagination. What if that's the case?
Climax takes place in. Literally, this building is the evil head vampire lair that shows up in all of the future Twilight movies. This is not just a cute little coincidence or foreshadowing. This is literally an exact photo of what will happen at the end of this movie, just like with the ballet studio. Bella read the book and saw this cover, and that's what she used to imagine this entire fake climactic scene. There is no other explanation for this. The vampires and the werewolves in these movies are all inside of Bella's head. I am sorry if that ruins the fun of Twilight for you, but the evidence here is pretty hard to argue with. Okay, so after New Moon, it seems like Bella fully embraces her fantasy forever, because going forward, these movies kind of go off the rails and fully commit to being large-scale, epic, supernatural Marvel movies where tons
hell nah, just looking at this, you could tell this ain't even real, bro. You know what I'm saying? This is not real world. If that was the case, her father's already a policeman. He would have seen some of this stuff. Can you explain that? Why that nigga never seen nothing? I'm talking about nothing of a vampire or something that was off or weird. The only thing that happened was goddamn your hoe got took. That was it. But anything else, I didn't even see it.
Crazy stuff is always happening, and there's not really any more signs of what's actually happening in Bella's real life. And this is about where I planned on ending this video, because it felt like everything in this theory was wrapped up pretty nicely. But there was still something that was bothering me. A single question that I've been trying to ignore because it implies something really far out there and uncomfortable, even for this already insane video, but unfortunately, I couldn't stop myself from asking this one final question.
What's that?
How exactly did Bella get out of the water at the end of New Moon?
Jake, right? Jacob.
Well, obviously, Jacob pulled her out at the last second, right?
Right.
But if you believe
but he should have let her drown.
Then you know there's a pretty good chance Jacob
I would have let
isn't
that bitch
real.
drown.
At least
the
short hair fantasy werewolf version of Jacob. The real Jacob seems like he's been out
I know that's the thing about it. She just being a visionary on what she wants somebody to be. You know what I'm saying? She just envisioning the nigga that she wanted to be. You know what I'm saying? Cut that off your head, bruh. That's what she envisioning. You know what I'm saying? She envisioning her perfect man in him. Maybe even Edward. Do Edward even look like that? Most of these niggas that she dating is geeks. They ain't jocks or nothing like that. So she just being imaginary. She just got a good imagination.
Bella's life for some time now. So again, how exactly did she survive? In fact, there's actually a lot of really suspicious things about Bella's escape. I mean, there's the way that Jacob just kind of comes out of nowhere at the last second, even though he had no idea she was doing this. And then there's the fact that Edward believed that Bella died in the water.
Bella, it's Edward.
He did?
He thinks you're dead.
Why did he believe this? It's a little convoluted. His vampire sister Alice has the ability to see visions, but apparently she can't see werewolves in these visions, so she only saw Bella unconscious in the water and not the part where Jacob pulled her out.
Would you like to explain to me how you're alive? I saw a vision of you. You jumped off a cliff.
I didn't see you get pulled out of the water either. I can't see past you and your pack of mutts.
Except this makes
pack of mutts? Why you coming at my mans like that, though? You know what I'm saying?
Fucking sense. Because the final Twilight movie literally ends with Alice seeing a vision of Jacob.
Damn. Yeah, she like Jacob, bro. I'ma just be real. Whoever she is, that bitch love Jacob. That's why she ain't see him.
So
look how
Jacob
hard she's
being
smiling.
A werewolf clearly isn't the reason why she never saw him pull her out. What if the reason for all of these contradictions is because Bella was never actually pulled out of the water?
She
what
wasn't?
if Bella actually
died?
Drowned?
I didn't see you get pulled out of the water either.
So yeah, this is the dumb idea that I couldn't stop thinking about. What if Bella actually died after cliff diving at the end of New Moon, and everything after this is just something she's imagining in her final moments?
Right.
So yes, I am officially committing to a dumb purgatory coma theory or whatever. And yes, I know it sounds like a stretch even for this video, but you gotta admit, there's something kind of interesting about it. It explains why this series has such a shift into full-on fantasy.
I ain't gonna lie, this a crazy ass series.
And these movies
I might
already
watch it.
have a precedent for your life flashing before your eyes when you're close to death. So it's not too far-fetched that Bella would be imagining years worth of things in this one little moment. And even the story of Twilight after New Moon kind of lines up with what Bella would be experiencing in the water. One of the main focuses in these movies from now on is whether or not Bella will be turned into a vampire and the consequences of that.
I have to figure out what to tell people. Why they'll never see me again.
I don't care how miserable your human life is. We'll always be this, frozen, never moving forward.
You wouldn't have to change for me, Bella, or say goodbye to anybody.
On one hand, she'll get to live forever in a fantasy vampire world, but she'll have to give up her life and leave everyone she cares about with them believing she died.
Is that Charlie?
Eventually we'll have to tell him you didn't make it.
He needs to mourn, Bella.
You gotta admit, it's a pretty similar dilemma to what...
I don't know what's real in this. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what the hell is real, man. It seems like even reality ain't even real. You know, like why her mom wasn't around. She giving her dad all this stuff, all this, you know, grief. She on the dad so much. But what the hell is the mom? You getting phone calls. I haven't seen one part where the mom was in person. Y'all let me know. I ain't see that.
Bella is facing here in the water, as she's on the brink of losing her life and her loved ones forever.
Why they'll never see me again.
Eventually we'll have to tell him you didn't make it.
There's also a lot of repeated water and cliff imagery after this point, almost like a constant reminder of Bella's real circumstances is bleeding through. In Breaking Dawn during her honeymoon, Bella even jumps off of another cliff into water, and then a song plays in the background that says, "Only a dream."
She is skinny though. She real skinny. I ain't gonna lie, nigga still crack though. A nigga crack those for real.
Very interesting. I think specifically the idea of Bella's dad grieving her after her death is an especially big source of guilt that's manifesting in her fantasy. And we even get a supposedly fake imaginary visual representation of what that would look like.
Oh, nah. See, that's the thing that I'm saying, bruh. What if the reality ain't even real? She hooked up to something in her head. She a freaking robot or something. We got AI around everywhere. You telling me that won't be a true story? Like, she's an AI? Her dad's not real. Her mom's not real. Her reality ain't even real. Okay? Her reality ain't even real. What if that's true?
But just like with them showing us Bella falling down the stairs, I think there's a good chance that this funeral vision is actually what happened and everything else is the lie. And look, I know this final death theory is pretty far out there, but I still have one final thing to share with you that I think you'll find very, very interesting. Right after we're shown this funeral, we cut to Jacob speculating about how Vampire Bella might fake her death, and listen closely to what Jacob says.
Maybe they'll say she was in a car crash. Or tripped and fell off a cliff.
Maybe they'll say she tripped and fell off a cliff. And he is saying this literally at the same La Push beach where Bella jumped.
Or tripped and fell off a cliff.
Eventually we'll have to tell me.
Alright, nigga, so you didn't save her. She just envisioned that. So how did she even envision that? You know, if he's saying, oh, there's something we'll have to, you know, make up, or they'll make up a story saying this. What the hell happened? Did she turn into a werewolf?
We will never see me again.
I never existed.
So, there you go. It's up to you whether you want to believe this little extra final drowning theory, but I think there's some pretty compelling evidence for it. And
I don't believe the last drowning theory.
And struggles do manifest here, ultimately this is still all a wish fulfillment fantasy where everything gets to work out in the end. So Bella doesn't actually lose Charlie, and everyone still gets their happy endings, and I think that is at least a nice, comforting final thought for Bella as she drifts away into the water.
Man, ain't no way.
That is my Twilight dream theory. I know it is very sad and very
always
dark,
got good
but at
theories.
the end of the day, it's just a new way to look at
even
these
if you
movies,
don't believe
so
it.
You can take
he
it
got the
or
best
leave it.
theories.
But I think it adds a lot of interesting new layers on a rewatch. I'm sure I will keep making more dumb dream theories that end with a character having.
There we have it, man. The reason why this is up quick, remember, I got Patreon. My name should be at the end of the video, honestly, bro. I got Patreon, though, man. Alex Bale, that's my freaking dog, my nigga. We go back in the sandbox. You know what I'm saying? But nah, this particular theory, I ain't gonna lie to her dying. I don't really believe that, honestly, when she jumped off the cliff. Maybe that was just in her head. She just had the love so much, the love so much for Jacob, or she wanted it to be real. Okay, but she really loves Edward. That was just in her mind. You know, a lot of people, they got shit in their mind. Maybe me, I might be like, God dang, you know, one of these bad chicks out here that I might, you know, with BBL, I might want a wife. But that's only in the spectrum of my mind. I can't prove that that's real in any, you know, in any capacity. You know, in this particular story, I just kind of believe she's just dealing with some things mentally in her brain. She just failed. Do y'all know what happens when you fall and stuff like that? She could have literally, you know, been put into an induced coma or anything, you know? And she was just thinking these things for so long. What if she's in one big coma and she's still in the hospital and all this is going on? You know, the fear of death because she's in a coma has her jumping off the bridge. All that could be a spectrum, man. Y'all let me know in the comment section. Hit that like, hit that sub. We out, man. Peace.